Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Pretty much anything that's involved with art, I just love to learn about it. Whether or not I can do it or not is really fascinating to me. A year or two after graduating high school, I had bought a kiln and a wheel and started working here in a little room in back. And then once I got my equipment and work around, you know, just sitting around, it's obviously like, all right, well now unfinished stuff, I gotta finish it. So then that's when it just never stopped. It was like there's always stuff there for me to work on. I really enjoy teaching people too and getting people into it, because it's pretty hard right now to have, like, you know, go to a craft show or an art show, and you know, the economy the way it is, people don't want to spend a lot of money on art right now, and that's understandable, you know. So, but you can still enjoy it, and you can still go look at it or go to the shows, and you know, you don't have to buy it. So I enjoy that. So as long as people enjoy to look at it, I'll keep making it, you know. It's been a passion, turned into a hobby, and then it turned into a business. So it's kind of, I'm learning a lot as far as the business side goes of it. And then once that comes about, then I think I'll be able to, you know, get into some production and start making some stuff what people want. But I'm really enjoying these classes right now and watching all my students excel, and they're having a blast with it. So it's a lot of fun for me. You know, some of my favorite pieces I'd set out front at my shows, and people would be reaching in the back to get the stuff that I really didn't care for. So I don't know, some of my favorite stuff isn't other people's favorite stuff. So from start to finish on a series of pieces, and that's enough to load a kiln and glaze and refire, you could have it all done in a week if you're really going. I'll just kind of make a bowl. That's a pretty simple shape for people to see. Keep a flat base across the bottom. Open it up. Right now, compressing the bottom, and that prevents cracks during firing and different stages of drying. That was a long lesson learned, trying to figure out why my stuff was cracking. So then as I pull this up and pull it out, I'll just gradually kind of let the clay do its thing. When you make a bowl on the wheel, it kind of makes itself, because as the clay spins, it expands. As the clay absorbs moisture, it'll sink. So once you open a piece of clay, it'll start to do that. So you pretty much just go with it, and then finding that borderline of when you need to stop is probably one of the hardest things to learn, because that's when stuff starts to fall over and you don't really know why. It's really just because it's not consistent most of the time. I like to make a bulk of pieces and then kind of pick what kind of firing I'm going to do with them. Some of the pieces that I really put a lot of work into, I try to find a good kiln to fire them in. I really like flames. To me, when a flame is rolling through a kiln, that's a good thing. And it changes the colors of the glazes a lot more. So I just make stuff, and when I get a chance to get in a good kiln, I'll glaze a bunch of stuff, and what makes it, and what doesn't make it in the kiln, I have to fire it a different way. So very few things that I make, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna finish it like this. And that's the freedom I really enjoy about it. You know, if I was doing big orders and stuff, people are picking out colors, and you start turning into a little machine. After throwing them, they're really wet because they've been taking on moisture, so you want to allow at least a day. They set up to where, you know, they're not really bendy anymore, they're pretty firm. So you can you can get away with a lot more. You don't have to worry about them really falling over anymore, you know. That's when I come back and do my lines and trim, do what I need to do. Attaching, textures, all sorts of stuff, handles, you know. So now what's gonna happen is this bowl is gonna sit on the inside of here. And it's gonna get a slab over the top, so it's gonna look like it's like this thick or more, you know. But really it'll be hollow on the inside. I'm gonna start making sinks in the future, so I'm really just trying to get my grip on that. I'm gonna make some pretty cool sinks. So by scratching this, what I'm doing is I'm allowing that these two clay bodies fuse together. And it's kind of like a weld, if you'd call it that. I'll just trim off this excess and make it look like it's one piece. So then, once I get the rough shape done, I let them settle and set up, and then I come back and clean them all up, make all the edges nice and sharp. So I'm actually relatively slow. When I told you guys that you can make stuff in a week, you can, but I don't. I let my stuff sit for sometimes a few days just to make sure I'm doing the right thing with it. So I'll let that dry like that for a while. So all those pieces I had there before, I had like 5 of them, actually 6 different things I had made that are turning out to be just 2 pieces. The piece shrinks as they dry, then the air will expand at the same time. So yeah, any enclosed piece will blow up if it doesn't get a hole put in it sometime. It's nice to have the freedom to make what you want. And I think that's where the art comes out.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.